Hey, hey, hey. Oh, you know what? Crap. I was just eating and I was like, oh, before I go live, I'm gonna do a teeth check. And I didn't. So, excuse me while I do my teeth check. And one of my headphones fell out. So, I hope you can still hear me. What's up? What's up? What's up? Talk to me. I feel like getting on at this time, most people are at work or at school. So, a lot of people don't be getting on. But this is me showing up, doing my live, and I was just gonna get on and shoot the ish. However, I wanted to talk about how delayed doesn't mean denied and how I live by that. I'm pretty sure it's a Bible scripture. I just live by that philosophy of life, especially since becoming a mom. As soon as I became a mom, the struggles and the stress and the pressure from literally every single person around me regarding my daughter and her capabilities or non capabilities. I mean, I just was fighting demons for the first 3 years of her life. I mean, from doctors, from school, when she started school, and then from her family on her father's side, my family, and even her own father. It was like I was in mama bear mode. I'm always in mama bear mode when it comes to my daughter. And I've literally had to intercept every single thing that they tried to convince me that my daughter couldn't do or wasn't able to do. And I've been a stay-at-home mom. I like to say boss at home mom since 2020. And I've spent every single I've spent every single excuse me, every single day with my child, every day, all day. And then remember, it was COVID. So the first 2 years, I was with her. There was nowhere to send her or any of those things. And I don't have any ideation to do that. I don't want someone else being able to see my daughter's milestones. And then I missed out and they tell me, like, oh, you missed what she did today or that. So because God granted me the time to stay, be a stay at home mom, I spent every single with my daughter. So when I would go to the doctors or when I enrolled her into school and when she was around her family and then my family, the things that they would try to be like, they're always analyzing her. And they'd be like, oh, she can't do this, she can't do that. And she's not responding to me and she's not responding to her name and all types of things. And I'd be like, trying to figure out what is this? What is this energy? And then I worked so diligently and so hard to try to prove that yes, she can do that. 'Cause I see her do all the things that they would try to say that she wasn't able to do. Now, as far as milestones go or delay or like the time frame of when she's supposed to cross whatever path, was that behind? Yes, of course, because I had a daughter and literally I had my daughter and then the world shut down. I had my daughter in March 2020. So there was no resources or no extra. It was literally just me and dad wasn't helping with no hands on, no engagement, no activities, no teaching, no nothing. It was just been me. Thank God that I have a plethora of skill sets and I have a whole medical background and a lot of things are just common sense for me And as far as teaching and implementing and pivoting and prompting, like that comes second nature to me. So I remember when I took her, I think for her 9 month checkup, the doctor tried to tell me that my daughter would never laugh out loud because she wasn't doing it by that time. I think it was 8 or 9 months. And I was like, I in my head, I thought, like, this lady needs to retire. Like, what type of shit are you trying to tell me, lady? My kid's never gonna laugh out loud because she's not doing it on your time. That's what I had to keep reminding myself when people would try to tell me things that one, I'm not on your time. My daughter's definitely on not on your time, and you're not God. So you don't get to say what my daughter can and cannot do because you're going by whatever education you have, however long ago you got it, or you're going by another group of children that you're doing a comparison with me and my kid. And so all the things that people try to tell me that she couldn't do, my daughter does. And then I've had to battle and try to prove to them that my daughter does talk. Because they're trying to say like she doesn't talk and she's nonverbal. Now, if we want to be technical, I had to do my own education on that because I was like, do not refer to my daughter as nonverbal because when I'm there in the house with my kid all the time, my daughter is always talking. So I didn't, that's my big thing about like labels. Like I never let anyone label my child. And I don't like people speaking certain things over myself or my child. So I'm just like, if this is a delay, a speech delay, and then you're saying nonverbal, well, then you're speaking that over her as to like she'll never talk and that she'll never use any words or she'll never be able to socialize with people. I don't let people, I didn't let people call my daughter that. Then on top of that, as far as if you ever try to go down the diagnosis path and lane, then thank you, Tommy. I hope that you're having a blessed day too. Thank you for checking in. If you try to go down that path, with educating myself, nonverbal is not in the way that they try to say like your kid doesn't use any words. It's just that the receptive back and forth conversation, which is where my daughter is delayed at. But she talks all the time. She sings, she dances, she does all these things. But they were trying to basically put her in a box because she wasn't doing an immediate response if you said, hey, do this or demonstrate that. And so they try to make you feel like something's wrong instead of educating you and saying, hey, some kids they need more help. Like that's the point of going to, the therapy, speech therapy and OT and all those type of things. But now they have it so screwed up, like with the medical system, the healthcare system, you need all these referrals. You can't just get services, which is totally designed by that. You can't just get services. Even if you have health insurance, you have to go through like these referrals, and then they have these astronomical wait lists for the referral. So by the time your kid gets seen, the kid is super delayed, more delayed than wherever they were supposed to be. But I just never lived up to that belief of I'm not listening to you talk about whatever you're trying to convince me that my daughter can't do. One, I see her do it. So there is, in my case, oh, I don't have to record anything, Siler. Like I'm just sharing my story. I'm just sharing my story with you. I don't, you don't live your life trying to like have a file of proof for people. But if I've seen it with my own eyes and I hear it with my own ears, that's all the proof that I need. And I'm gonna verbalize that. They're not gonna get in my head and try to be like, my daughter can't do these things because I would see her do them all the time in my own presence. Then another thing that I learned with my daughter is energy. Like she, whoever she's comfortable with, she'll just come to life in front of them. If she's not, then you don't get anything from her. And honestly, I'm like that. So that's why I said I'm autistic. Like the labels, the need to label people in this day and age literally drives me crazy. And I think like that's why one of my messages is don't let people label you, because people want you to live up to that label. And when you allow people to label you, you will live in lack. You will live in limitations. Okay. Yeah, that is eventually my goal. Homeschool or kind of private school. I want to put her in Montessori school, because I just like the curriculum with Montessori school is more teaching skill sets than reading a book and doing tests and um, memorization of like nonsense that you're never going to use. But with that being said, I was making this video and I wanted to talk about that because all the things that they tried to tell me, that they were trying to convince me year one, year two, year three, that she was not doing, even though she really was doing it, she wasn't doing it on a demand. But I would see her do it. So I'm like, you can't tell me that she doesn't do it if I've seen her do it. And then on top of that, you're going by a milestone cheat sheet, and all kids develop on their own time. I was even a late talker. I didn't start really verbalizing and talking until I was about 5. So it's like just remembering your own way that you kind of grew up, and just like remembering the times and like the pressures of the times that we're living in, of them trying to like make everything about a label and a diagnosis and all this stuff, and like instilling fear of like, well, if your kid isn't doing this by this age, they're never gonna do it. I never listened to that. I never listened. So I battled with everybody. And my daughter, I think that any kids that were born during COVID, I think that the world should be a little bit more compassionate towards them, because the regular process of like, daycare or having hands-on help, or like people coming into your house, like the not ABA, the early intervention, all that stuff, everything was shut down. So if for 2 years, no, you didn't have any access to all that stuff. That's why I said, thank God that I'm resourceful and I have a plethora of skill sets and a plethora of education and a plethora of experience. These services that I eventually got once my daughter got to 3, they couldn't teach me anything, because I already do all this stuff off the back of my hand every single day. So they were like really surprised, like, oh well, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, we can't teach you anything because you know all the stuff. Like, whatever they show me, I'm like, yeah, I do that already. Yeah, I do that already. Yeah, I just have too much experience. So, like, if you don't have the experience that I had, then you are also at a like you're at a disservice. You're doing a disservice for your kids because you don't know what to do, and then there's no one to call or help, and you just gotta wait. So if like somebody was like me, and then you had to wait till 3 or 4 to start getting services, then maybe if you don't get a good therapist or somebody that really cares about their job or likes kids, it's a whole list of BS that goes along with that. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I wanted to make this video because my daughter is just fine and she's thriving, and I'm seeing and experiencing her do more things every single day, and I'm like, yeah, what if I would have spoke over all the stuff that they were saying about her? Excuse me. What if I would have spoke that? Because like the thing about life and just like how the mind works, the more you say something and the more that somebody tells you something, the more that you believe it, because you're practicing that. Like I did a video the other day about like how words like always speak life and positivity, because words have power, words have meaning, and words are spells. That's why it's called spelling. So if you're constantly saying negativity or speaking death or speaking doubt or speaking denial over yourself or over your kids, then you're going to live in that. And so for me, I was fighting all those things, and I was just feeling like, dang, it's just me and dad and her, like against the world. And then one day, I forget what happened. I think I went to the doctors, and like going to that doctor is specifically was just a very daunting task. And the doctor did or said something to me, and it really made me so upset. And I remember going to her dad at the time, and I was like, "Oh, the doctor said that like every time I go here, I've had a terrible experience." And I'm like, "Do you believe that whatever she was trying to say that like she was never going to be able to do because she wasn't demonstrating it?" The other thing I don't like about the doctor's office is like you're going here meeting somebody for like 5 minutes. You're not about to try to convince me that just because in 5 minutes you don't know what's going on with my kid. You don't know what kind of space she's in or what kind of mood she's in, just like an adult. So I'm just like, I was trying to look for some reassurance from him at the time, but he had said something to me that really made me realize like, oh, it's really just me in this battle of like protecting my daughter and creating this barrier of positivity around her and speaking life into her and like telling her don't listen to the naysayers, like nothing's wrong with you, and keep developing on your time because you're on your own time, you're on God's time. Like, and I thought it was us together, and I realized at that moment of what he said to me that, oh yeah, you believe this, you believe these things too. And on top of that, in his case, he has other kids, so he just believes what anybody tells him. I'm not that person. Like, you're not going to condition my mind, and you're not going to condition my daughter's mind. So yesterday you just have to keep prompting and promoting and praying. Honestly, every day when my daughter gets up, people try to treat kids that are on the spectrum or nonverbal or however you want to label them. It's like, well, if the kid is not saying nothing, then I'm not gonna even try because they not comprehending and they're not gonna talk back to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. I talk to my daughter as if I can have a full blown conversation with her, whether she responds and whether she verbally responds or not. I still talk to her just like I'm talking to this damn phone. Okay. And a lot of times my daughter will respond with actions, and she'll like embrace me or sit on me or give me hugs or give me kisses. Like, example, every morning I'm like, "Good morning, baby. Like, how are you doing? How are you feeling today?" And I really want her to say like, "Good morning, mama." And so I tell her like, say good morning, mama. And a lot of times like she won't say anything. Like, she'll just give me a kiss on my lips, or she'll give me a hug and she'll sit on me, and we'll hug and I'll just talk to her or whatever. Yesterday, like clockwork, I said, "Good morning, baby." And literally my daughter said, "Good morning, mama." And I mean, things like that happen all the time within like the last, my daughter's 5. But just things like that, of them telling me that she's never gonna laugh out loud because she didn't do it by whatever the infant milestone was. And my daughter laughs all the time. My daughter sings. My daughter talks when she wants to. The receptive communication of sitting down and having a back and forth with somebody, or somebody coming up to you asking you something, you respond immediately. That's where she's delayed at. But if I say, well, because she doesn't do this, she's never gonna do it, then yeah, if she hears that from every single person, including her mother, then yeah, how will you open up that door? How will you open up that belief? How will you give space for those things to manifest? So it's just like I have to block out the world all the time when it comes to my daughter, and I have to do it when it comes to myself too, and just remind myself that like delayed doesn't mean denied. Even in like chasing your dreams and your goals, delayed doesn't mean denied. You have to be in a season of waiting and being patient for whatever the reason, whatever the purpose is. But yesterday that really made me so excited, and it made me feel good. Like, wow, it just took all this time. What if I would have really believed that and like never worked on it, or just stopped talking to my daughter in the morning or at night? How, because she understands, she hears, and when she's ready, when she sees fit, she will interact. So another thing that they reminded me of, like, especially when I enrolled my school. I mean, I don't know. I'm tripping over my words today. When I enrolled my daughter in school, one big thing they made a big deal about. was that she didn't do any pretend play. They're like kids at her age by 3, like they're doing pretend play and they're playing with dolls and they're, you know, verbally pretending that this person is doing this and this and she's not doing that. She's never going to do that. And it took till 4. Okay, my daughter didn't do it at 3, but it took till 4 for her to start pretend play. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you believe what somebody else is trying to program your head to believe, then you'll believe it and you'll believe that for your kids. And I'm sorry, but me and my personal opinion, I believe that you are your child's first friend and you are your child's first teacher. And there are a plethora of people who, one, don't believe that they're their child's friend, and then two, don't believe that they're their child's first teacher. They believe that they should send them, wait till they get to school and then harass the teachers to tell them to do the job that they should be doing. Like, learning and education starts at home first. And you are your child's friend, your teacher, your protector, you're your child's first everything. And you cannot hand them over to other people and expect them to do a better job than yourself. But that's just me and my own personal opinion. And I work extremely hard to build my daughter up and to be the positivity in her ear, in her aura, and I don't let anybody play when it comes to my daughter. I don't let people kill her curiosity. I don't let people speak negatively over her. I don't let people call her names. I don't let people hit my child. I don't say, oh, you better stop because such and such is going to get you. I don't play that shit when it comes to my daughter. I expect how I raised my daughter for other people to respect it and for other people to either learn and embrace it, or I mean, we just can't be around you because I can't risk somebody else with their negative thinking and their programming and their belief of like this is how a child should be talked to or raised or handled. I cannot allow that to be projected over my child who's already in a sensitive space, a vulnerable space, and then somebody who's not being gentle with her and somebody that's not giving her time or understanding that she needs more time than the average person, it will lead to a conflict very quickly. And so watching my daughter and having my daughter and becoming a mom has taught me all the things that I lacked as a child because and that's why I said like, oh, I'm autistic. I really do believe that I'm autistic, and I mean in the 80s it was not really so prevalent like it is now, but especially with the time thing, like I do not like to be rushed. The time and the scheduling. I don't like to be rushed and I don't like to not know what's happening. And so I grew up in the time frame of like you stay in a child's place, you don't talk, you don't ask questions, you just do as you're told, and then not knowing I'm a planner, like I'm very spontaneous, but I'm like a spontaneous planner. Like if I know tomorrow that this is how my day is going, then I can mentally and emotionally prepare for that. If I just wake up and I didn't have any plans for somebody interjecting into my plans, or I have my own plans and somebody tries to interject into that and make me do other things very last minute, no planning, no predictability, it will frustrate me. And so I see that with my daughter, and that is a big thing as far as being on the spectrum and being autistic is that you have to plan and you have to tell and you have to prep. And I wasn't allowed that grace in that space as a child. So I definitely do give my daughter the time and the space. And I always let her know, I always prep her at night about what's going to happen the following day. And then again, and that day, I prep her to be like, remember, we're going to go do this and this and that. And we got to go this way and we got to go that way. And, just giving her a lot of prep and a lot of prompts. And I'm like, wow, like my life could have been so much different and my upbringing could have been so much better if I had somebody do the same things that I do for my daughter. And so, um, yeah, I seek to be what I don't see. And then I also practice being the person that I wish that I had when I was growing up to my daughter and to other kids and just strangers and people that I meet along the way. So, yeah, all the things that they said that she wouldn't do or couldn't do. I, and I was rebuking, like, she can do this. I see her do it all the time. And they're like, oh, well, I just asked her to do it and she didn't follow my prompts. So she can't do it. And then so I rebuked the couldn't. I definitely rebuked the wouldn't and the time frame, the milestone, all of that. And so, like I said, Delay doesn't. Why can't I talk today? Somebody must be talking about me. Delayed does not mean deny because all the stuff that they said that she couldn't, she does. Did it take her longer? Sure. But there are so many factors as to why it has taken longer. And I don't think that that's taken into accountability. And it's not your job to make other people understand that. It's not your job to try to prove it. I spent 3 years trying to prove, especially to family, because they will make you feel so bad about yourself and then about your kids, yo. And like as for me, being a first time mom, I just already felt like in a vulnerable space of like, wow, like everybody's treating my daughter like shit. And they're talking negatively about her and they're always analyzing and projecting and it was just a lot of negativity that I had to fight and battle. Like literally, I felt like I had a daughter, and then I had this seed that I planted, and then I started growing this beautiful flower. And every day, as a metaphor, every day I felt like I had to fight everybody, including her dad, from trying to rip it out the ground because they were like, oh, they don't like what color it is. Oh, they don't like how it's growing straight, or oh, it's leaning to the side, or oh, they're always just trying to rip and destroy what I created and trying to like spit on it and say it's shit and it's not never gonna be stuff and just like start again. I remember her dad said, called her a weak link and was like, oh, try again. And I like that's why we're not together and that's why I got away from him because I don't play that. Like nothing about me is weak, number one. And then number two, if anything has a weakness, you can strengthen it. You can always make it better. Like people's outlook on life, if you're not careful, you surround yourself around these type of people, you will live a life of turmoil. You will have a life of no peace. And that's what I was experiencing. A life of no peace, a life of like feeling sad and beating myself down and then spending all this extra inertia and energy that I didn't have at the time trying to prove to these people like please baby and this is a big thing. I spent a lot of time trying to be like please baby when we're in the house you're always talking you're always verbalizing or making sounds or singing like please show them that you can sing show them that you know how to talk show them that you can respond to your name when it's called because she does it for me and then that I was getting so much flack especially from the doctors of saying like well she can't just be responding to you like she's gonna have to learn how to respond to other people and it wasn't until like I started getting out with my daughter more after COVID that I would see, especially with strangers. Like she just opened up to strangers, talk, and she's very hands on. So she's like, if she likes you, like she'll touch your face or she'll want to be sitting next to you or like get on your lap. I didn't see her do this with any of my family or any of her family on her dad's side. And so I started to learn that, oh, my daughter can pick up negative energy. And so that's why she wouldn't respond. That's why she wouldn't interact because we were surrounded by a bunch of negative people and a negative energy and negative outcome. It's like I could see it I could feel the judgments, but the depth, the depths I didn't understand until it got to a point of danger and I literally had to run for my life and for my daughter's life because of the harm that was being inflicted upon me and my kid. So yesterday just made me feel so good that I see my daughter verbally responding to me with that back and forth, that interactive conversation is starting to pick up. Other than that, I hear my daughter's voice all the time. She sings, and she just does her own thing, and I allow her to do her own thing. And for some reason, that bothers people. And so I've made the exception that I just need to continue to attract people that get it, because I understood that like those that get it, and those that don't. And I've spent too much of my time trying to make people who don't even want to understand me or my child to try to understand us and like our needs. So it's like, if you want to label us special needs, like I am now labeled, thanks to her dad, as bipolar and autistic. And then we have this daughter. The other thing I wanted to say about that is anything medical comes from men. Literally comes from men. So the very fact that men try to like blame it on women, or don't try to join together and be like, what do we need to like strengthen this up or help, my seed. And I'm not saying all men, but very much majority of them. Anything medically in your medical history, any diagnoses, especially challenges, come from men. They provide the seed. They provide majority of the DNA. So I think it's also like a default, a defense mechanism of trying to be like, oh well, I don't know where this comes from, or I don't know where is that, because I don't have those issues, when they're the ones. That's where the issue comes from. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And I'm also in a space in my life where God has me in a season of waiting and stillness, and it has been driving me crazy. Crazy. I hate it. I hate waiting. I hate being still. I want to go when I have a thought or something I want to do. I want to do it now. And I've just been in this season where have not been able to, and that made me also think about delayed doesn't um, mean denied, because I've had a lot of success, especially with being a stay-at-home mom and a boss-at-home mom, and I had a lot of success in my businesses that I was doing, and then I hit a plateau for a long time, and I couldn't figure out like why am I at this plateau, and like why does it feel like nothing's changing, or like I'm not going up. And I literally just found out the answer. So that's my other thing, is that when you're going through something, reasons always come before the answers. And I think depending on how focused you are on the reason, if you don't learn to like let go and just let whatever is happening, it may take you way longer than it should to figure out the answer or receive the answer as to why you had to go through certain things, um, to help you get to the thing that is being delayed for you. Like everything is for your protection. If things are not working, it's for a reason, it's for protection. If things are delayed, or you're in a state of stillness or waiting, there is a reason. And a lot of the times you're just not ready for the things that are gonna come, and you need more time to develop. And that's where I'm at with myself. And then I just naturally give that to my daughter. I just give her time to develop. And I'm still hands on with my daughter. I always know when something's going on with her. As a side note, like just like 3 weeks ago, My daughter had lost her first tooth, and she was like showing signs of like she wasn't feeling good. Like, oh, I think you're getting a fever. I think you're getting a cold, or like something's going on with you. But everything was fine. Like she never had a fever. And then my daughter has trouble with sleeping or like staying asleep, and she doesn't take naps. And so she was sleeping and taking naps and just sleeping longer than she usually does. So the times that I've seen her do that, I'm like, oh, you're growing. Like she's having a growth spurt. But I was just like, someone was telling me like that's not what's going on either. And then like the next day, that went on for like 3, 4 days. And then the next day, her tooth fell out. And I was like, oh, look at that. The body's always working, even if you can't see it. And I was just like, I'm so in tune with her. Like, I knew something was going on. And then I just had to let it go. I'm like, whatever's going on with you, everything I'm checking is showing up normal. So it will just show itself. And then her tooth fell out. And then we were so excited about that. And then I like being non traditional and I like going against the grain and not doing all the typical stuff. And so I understood that my daughter, like, one, I don't do the holidays. I try to create my own traditions around the holidays. I don't do them how Americans do them or the typical average standard way because there's nothing typical, average, or standard about me or my child. So we do things like a little differently. And I really like the whole like tooth fairy thing and the money, and I knew she wouldn't be into that. So we actually planted. I got a little plant, and we planted her tooth in the plants. Which it was funny because when I went to a little farmer's market, this lady was selling plants, and I was like, oh, I was just researching ways on how to uh, celebrate the tooth fairy, for kids that are on the spectrum. And so I was like, it just came up. I seen this idea of one taking a picture and then creating a photo album with their picture of each tooth, and then with them smiling with the missing tooth, and making them a little photo album so they could look back on it for memories. And so I was telling the lady like, oh, and I'm gonna plant her tooth in the plant. She was like, oh, that's actually a really good idea because your teeth have calcium. So she was like, this is gonna help the plant grow. And I mean, like the plant is just growing astronomically. So I was just like, and she loved it. I was like, oh, let's say goodbye, tooth. We're gonna plant it into the plant. It's gonna grow. And she like it was very hands on, and she liked that. So there's that, and then yeah. So I just find different ways to do things with my daughter, and I like it, and she likes it, and it makes us feel good. And I just wish that somebody was as hands on with me as I am with her, and give grace and don't kill curiosity, and believe that you're just gonna grow up and just be this amazing person of who you're gonna be. With that also being said, is that when you become a parent and you have kids, there's a vast majority of people that try to rearrange and rewrite and redirect the path that they're supposed to be on. Like when you're born for a purpose and you're born to be who you are. And a lot of parents try to change their kids or live vicariously through their kids and say, no, I want my kid to do this and I want my kid to do that. And they're going to grow up and do what I want them to do. And it's like, you're not God. You're not God. And so you can't rewrite the path of like who you want them to be or what they should be doing. You should be spending time with them, teaching them things and showing them different things and introducing them to different life experiences and stuff like that, and watching them and seeing what they are actually into, seeing what they actually like to do, and feed that. And those kids are going to grow up to live in their purpose a lot more quickly than you embedding and putting stuff into their head about how you want them to be and how you see them growing up and what they're going to be when they grow up. And then they try to live up and trying to be a people pleaser and trying to please you. And then they take 30 years of their life trying to do something to make mommy and daddy happy, and to understand that they don't even like whatever they're doing. They're just doing it to justify for you. And so that was my experience. I'm like, That's why I was working in the medical field doing nursing for 17 years, even though I understood I hated it. I hated it. I did not like working in the hospitals and the psych wards and the nursing homes and being around death and smelling people's bodily fluids and wounds and being around sickness and death and looking at people throw up and poop on themselves and smell like old people. I didn't like any of it. And if I was who I am now, or I had somebody just allowing me to do the things that I liked, like everything that I liked to do as a kid, I was not allowed to do. I was not allowed to do anything that brought me interest or anything that I really liked. I was always forced to do something that I didn't want to do or was typical or standard or what this group of people were doing or what my siblings were into. And I was just never into it. So the more that I wasn't into those things, the more I got labeled weird or sensitive or emotional. And it's just like, no, I'm my own person. And that's what I allow my daughter to do. But I'm saying all that to say, if somebody would have let me do what I wanted to do, who knows where my life would be right now? Who knows? Because I have so many interests of things that are not interesting to the average person because I'm not average. And I was raised around a lot of average people, so I went into this medical field trying to please my mother and trying to please my grandmother. My mom, who was living vicariously through me because she never got to become a nurse. And then my grandmother, who's my adopted grandmother, was a nurse. And that's what she put in my head like, you're going to be a nurse because it's, it's job security and it's a good title and you make good money. And that's what people live up to. And I didn't care about those things, but I did it and I stayed in the field. It took me way longer than I should have been left the field, but I was so worried. I lived in that people pleaser place. I was so worried about how I was gonna like my grandmother actually passed away in the hospital that I was working at that I thought would be the hospital that I would have retired from. I was so happy that I started working there, but I also forced myself in there. I did like 3 or 4 interviews to finally get into the hospital. And then I remember I never even got into the hospital. Originally, I got into like one of their side units and I was like, no, I want to be here in this facility so that when people find out like I work here, they're gonna be like, oh snap. You know, you're looking for that approval and you're looking for that like good feedback from other people. And then honestly, when I started my medical field journey right out of high school, all the jobs that I had leading up to working at that hospital, I had liked, but I didn't stay in those jobs long. I did like 2 years tops. I get very bored easily. My attention span is my attention span. Well, let me say this: my attention span is great. However, if there's nothing new for me to learn on the job, or I get to a point where the job becomes like most jobs, once you learn the job, there's nothing else to learn unless you can move up or do a new position. When it becomes mundane and routine, I don't operate well in mundane and routine. And I see that with my daughter. I constantly have to do new things with her, introduce her to do stuff, or even something so simple like if we go to the park, I can't go to the same park every day or every week because she's bored with it. I have to constantly find a new park, and I like to do that. So because I'm the same. Like if I played here every single day, it's bored. Like I already know what to do, what to expect. There's nothing new here. So we always go on an adventure and like find a new park or something. But once a job becomes mundane and boring, and I get to the point where I just know the job like the back of my hand, I'm over it. So I've always moved to another job or to another facility or something else along the medical journey. Once I got into the hospital and I was there at that status, I hated it. I was so miserable, so miserable. And I was just like, well, what are people going to say if I walk away from this good job and this good pay and I walk away from this place where people try to break their necks to get in here to get a job and retire from? Like, what are they going to say? They're going to they're gonna think I'm crazy. And it doesn't matter because they've always thought I was crazy. That's what 2024 taught me is these people that I was so busy trying to live up to and impress think negatively about me. They think very low vibrational about me. And it took for me to have such a traumatic ass experience last year for me to really grasp of like, wow, I'm glad that I walked away from the medical field in 2013. And then I also went back in like 2016, 17-ish for a little bit. But to really understand and to be able to really be free on a level of like not giving a fuck, not being a people pleaser, and not caring what somebody thinks about me, last year definitely released me from all of that shit when it comes to me. And I was already like that with my daughter. I was just like, I'll take the abuse, I'll take people thinking or talking negatively about me, but not about my kid. You know what I'm saying? And so now I just don't give two fucks. I feel like it's just me and my daughter against the world. And if you get it, you get it. You vibe with us, you vibe with us. You don't, you don't, because we're fucking dope. Okay. You gotta be your own booster. We're fucking dope. And I'm not getting caught up in other people's nonsense and negativity. Like, I'm sorry that you're a people pleaser. Literally in your name says slave. So that tells me all that I need to know. I'm not responding to you. Because why would you choose your name to say the fallen slave? And sitting here trying to give me some fucking advice. God forgive me. I'm really trying to work on not swearing and removing vulgar words from my vocabulary. I'm still in practice mode. Like my headphones died. What's up, Keith? Damn, where did my other headphone go? What? What's up, Keith? How you doing today, friends? I haven't seen you on my live. Yesterday I got on live. I didn't see you when the time I got on. But anyways, I'm about to wrap this up. But you always dropping positive affirmations, so let me see. Anyone could develop bad patterns if they build, no matter whom they are. Interesting. The surface thing we miss, the path of healing. Okay, now you're talking. Well, what you're talking about, I don't agree with the other things that you were saying, and I don't like your name. But I do agree with this. I did that also. I noticed a lot of people there hated their job. They would always say they cared, but it was absolutely they didn't. Nobody, most people don't like their job. Most people don't know what to do without somebody else telling them what to do. So it's a very sad cycle. That's what the rat race is all about. Of somebody programmed you that this is what you're supposed to be doing, no matter what it is, no matter what the job, no matter what the title is. Somebody has programmed all of us, not just particular people, majority of the people in the world, unless you were raised by free thinking parents and people who already put themselves in position to not be controlled or maneuvered by society and school system and the job system, then everybody falls victim to doing something that they don't like, and they're too attached to how long they've been doing it, the title that they hold, and the money that they make, and other people's opinions. So they stay doing a job that they don't like, and a lot of people cannot think outside, within themselves. We're all programmed to think outside of ourselves. That's why in school you're programmed to be like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want to be in 10 years? Instead of asking the question of, who do you want to become? Who are you evolving into? What do you see yourself creating? What do you see yourself achieving as on a creativity level? Instead, they give you a list and they say, do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a police officer? Do you want to be a nurse? Do you want to be, whatever the titles is? And it's like, what if you don't like anything on that list? And then they'd be like, well, then what are you going to do for a job? Because they're programming you to work in a system that works against you. The hours of all jobs work against you. It doesn't matter. I've worked every single hour. If anybody ever wants to debate me about a job, I'm up for the challenge because I've worked so many jobs. I've worked every shift, split shifts, first shift, second shift, third shift, you name it, I've done it. And all of them work against your circadian rhythm. All of them take away from your daily life, your daily living activities, and every single job makes you choose between making money and making memories. And most people are so programmed and so afraid to walk away from that or try to create a bridge between allowing them to be able to leave and give themselves more options, because you don't even think about that. Like for me, I'll use myself as an example. When I was working in nursing, and I only got a couple more minutes and then I gotta get my daughter from school and charge my phone for a little bit. When I was working in nursing, I was like, before I became a nurse, I was like, I changed my job title so many times because I was like, I'm looking for a job that pays me more and allows me to work less. And so becoming a nurse, like my end goal with nursing was to become a nurse practitioner. And before I knew anything about entrepreneurship or anything, I wanted to become a nurse practitioner because I wanted to have my own practice, or I wanted to be a traveling nurse practitioner where I could work with a company that I could travel the world, because traveling is very near and dear to my heart. I'm a freedom person. Freedom is my birthright. And I didn't want to get bored. Like I wanted to meet new people and like go past meds and be able to prescribe at that time. That's what I wanted to do. So I never got to do the nurse practitioner, but while I was working in the hospital, every day, every night, because I was working overnights. Because at that time, when I was so stuck in job mentality, I was like, if I have to work any of these shifts, I'll pick night shift because I want to have the day to myself. Like if something's going on, if there's like a party or a cookout or hanging out with people, like I don't want to miss that. So I chose working overnights and sacrificing sleep because I'm already a night owl. And when I was working in the hospital, every single nurse all complained about working 12-hour shifts. And I was like, yeah, I didn't sign up for this. Like everybody talks about nursing and like how good it is and how good the pay is, and you're like feeling so good, like, oh, I'm an RN, because you want other people to hear, like, because people judge you based on your job title. So that's why everybody asks, what do you do for a living? And if it's not something that makes them go like, ooh, or perk up, or like give you whatever, they'll even still discredit you. It doesn't matter what kind of job that you got. It matters what kind of tier your job falls on. Because you could say you could work at McDonald's and somebody could look at you like you're a bum, like you're a loser. And this is like, who cares? Like, at least I got a job. At least I'm being productive, right? That's what this whole thing was supposed to be about. But anyways, yeah, that bothered me. And I was like, yeah, I didn't sign up for that. I don't want to work 12-hour shifts. Like, I didn't do all this, going to school and all this stuff to still work 12 hours. Like, this shit is a scam. And I absolutely hated it. And then in nursing, like, at the hospital, right before I left, like, they had changed the work schedule. So it was just like, you could either work the first half of the week and have the second half of the week off, or vice versa. And even with that, I was like, this shit is ass. Like, no, I don't like this. Like, I want to make money and not have to sacrifice making money versus my time. And so once I got into entrepreneurship and started learning entrepreneurship and business and making money independently outside of a job for myself, that shit opened up my mind. It stretched my potential, and I don't ever see myself going back to punch anybody's clock, yo. No matter what's going on in my life, like, I don't see it. Am I against it? I'm never against anything, and I never say never. I'm just at a time, like, I've had time freedom for the past 5 years going on 6. I do what I want with my day and my time. And so I'm already 50-50. I'm already 50% there. So that's why my message is always like, turn your life into a lifestyle. Like, tap into yourself more and out of the world less, so that you can figure out what you like to do, what you want to do with your time, how you want to spend your day, figure out how much money you want to make, figure out what you're good at, what your interests are. Don't just fall victim to being like, well, I have this job and like this job is the end all to be all, because that job will let you go in a blink of an eye, and it doesn't matter. You could get sick, you could die, you're replaceable in that system. So at some point in time, either if you're working your job, that's fine, work your job. I'm not saying quit your job and just go willy-nilly. I'm saying something that my white dad I took from him, and if you want to look him up, his name is Jim Rohn, and you can find him on YouTube. He's my white daddy. Jim Rohn taught me at the very beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, work harder on yourself than you do for a job. And if you start working harder on yourself than you do for a job, meaning if you have a job, work your job, but once you clock out of your job, now clock in for yourself. Like, don't clock out and then go home and put your feet up and watch TV and be like, oh, I'm tired, I worked so hard. No, start building your skills, start personally developing, start tapping into your creativity, start dedicating some time, a time block out of the day for yourself. So most people, you work 9 to 5, then what are you doing from 5 to 9? That was strictly for you. That's pushing you more to your goals. That's helping you build a bridge to be able to open up more doors of opportunity and more access and more ways for you to be able to buy back your time. I think we're so caught up in money, and it's just like money is also a status for people, but it's just like money is simply just a tool. Money is supposed to be used, one, for you to make more money, and then two, for you to buy back your time and you be able to delegate shit that you don't want to do so that you have more time in your day to do whatever it is that you want to do. So that's what I'm going to get back to teaching more here on my channel. I'm really all about personally developing and helping people turn their life into a lifestyle and letting go of limitation and lack and bossing up on their own terms. Like, I don't know how you want to boss up. I don't know how you want to live your life, but you are able to boss up and you are able to live your life on your terms because you were born to live, not just exist. And when we go through the job systems and the school systems particularly, it's programming and conditioning you to live amongst society rules so that you're a functioning member of society instead of just a functioning human being that wakes up and is happy about their lives, is happy about the day, is happy about how they spend their time, is happy without having to have all this shit. Because people want money so that they can just keep acquiring shit and more shit and more shit and more shit and more shit. And that's one of my other favorite quotes, is that you need nothing to be happy and something to be sad. And that's why when people don't have that job or a nice title, or they don't have X amount of income, they're miserable, or they can't buy the newest new thing, and they can't keep up with the Joneses. Like, you have to tap out of that shit if you want to turn your life into a lifestyle, if you want to live life on your own terms, if you want to have time freedom, financial freedom. You got to let go of all the stuff that you were that somebody programmed you to think of how life is supposed to be. And you also have to tap into yourself more so that you could honestly figure out what you like to do. Because I don't know how long you've been in the system. I don't know how long you've been working a job. I don't know how long you've been going to school. The longer that you're in that rat race, that's the real rat race. The longer that you're in the job and school system, that's all that you know. And so you're so far removed from yourself, you don't even know what you like to do. You don't even know what your real creativity is. You don't really know, because you've been so far gone away from yourself and so far into this automated version of yourself that just is like, you get up and you're on the go for everybody else and you have no time for yourself, and then you sleep, and then you get up and you do it again, and then the time passes, the months, the years, and then you have kids, you got all this stuff. Like, life is just, the older you get, life just gets more harder. You get more things on your plate. It doesn't get easier. So you have to build your strength, and you have to be able to be like, I'm going to start figuring out how I want to live, how I want to show up for me. Because when you get down and out and when shit hits the fan for you, you're going to find out that the people that you're living up to try to people please, and the people that you feel like is going to be there for you when if something happens to, they're not. They're not. So with that being said, I'm sorry. I'm going in today. Like, y'all should have got me a couple of days ago. Thank you for the likes and thank you for tuning in. And I wanted to apologize to you. I think that you should change your name the following. I'm just going to say the following. I think you should change your name, but I'm sorry we got off to a rough start. But thank you for agreeing with me, and thank you for the compliment of having a great day. I hope that you have a great day too. Hello, Elude Basura. I hope I said your name wrong. I hope I said your name right. Sorry. Oh, Keith, medical field has too much words to remember. I just find your color to bring in healing. Oh, facts. Yeah. Medical terminology, all that stuff. Like when you go into a job, like you're learning their system, literally something that somebody else created out of your own head. When you go to a job, you're on the calendar that somebody created, you're on a time schedule that somebody created, and you're doing work that somebody created. You're capable of doing all those things. You're capable of creating your own schedule. You're capable of creating your own time blocks and the work that you need to do within the time blocks. That's what personal development is creating those things so that you can schedule out your own day. Like, you don't need anybody else to schedule your day for you, especially being as an adult. But you feel that way because of how the process that you go through the school system. So it's not your fault where you're at, and it's not your fault of like what kind of job you're doing and like how far removed you are from your purpose. It is your fault if you stay that way. It is your fault if you live the rest of your life that way. It reminds me of one of my other favorite quotes, which is, you are born looking like your parents, you're gonna die looking like your choices. Meaning, whatever you were born into, you had no control over that. Whoever your parents are, you have no control over that. However your childhood was, you have no control over that. You have no control over anything until you became an adult and responsible for yourself. If you live in that woe is me and like constantly want to keep replaying that of like what somebody did to you or how you grew up or like how your parents are, then you're just going to be the replica, even though that's really not what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So I said a lot, but yeah, look at my white daddy, Jim Rohn. I love him. He's amazing. And his videos and content and feedback is very life-changing if you're looking to start your journey on personal development. If not, tune into my channel. Subscribe, because I'm going to get back into this. Just like boosted. I needed this. Boosted me to get back popping my ish this way of sharing thought-provoking content around jobs, money, and parenting, and just like how you are as a grown adult. Like you have to take your life into your own hands. So with that being said, I will leave you with my 3 messages that are very near and dear to my heart, and I hope that it blesses your day as much as it blesses me to be able to share it. So number 1, don't let anybody label you. Those who try to label you want you to live in lack and not your purpose. And those who try to label you see something within yourself that they don't want you to see in yourself. So they try to label you so that you feel suppressed and you wake up living and leading with this label every day, and living in lack and living in limitation and living in a state of hopelessness. So don't let anybody label you, okay? 2, don't let anybody put you in a box. Those who try to put you in a box is simply because they cannot get out of theirs, and misery loves company. And unless your name is Kathy Bates, don't let anybody put you in a box. And 3, don't forget to turn your life into a lifestyle, and you do that by simply taking your own life into your own hands and participating in your own rescue to save yourself, because absolutely positively nobody's coming to save you. You must save yourself, and the way that you save yourself is by tapping into yourself more and out of the world less. Okay, if you're able to do that, if you're able to put on your blinders and have tunnel vision and remove all the things that are not serving you, you in return will save yourself from living the life that your parents want you to live, the life that society tries to create for you to live in, and the life that the school systems and the job systems try to mold for you to live within. And you were not born to just work a job, pay bills, and die. No sir, no ma'am. You were born for a purpose. And the way that you figure out what your purpose is by figuring out what problem were you born to solve. Once you figure out what problem you were born to solve, you will live in your purpose, and you will live within your birthright, which is abundance, prosperity, and a life of luxury. So with that being said, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the engagement. Let me see if y'all said anything else. Have a great day. Thank you. Also, hello, Axis of Resistance. It's been a minute. I'm looking good today. Oh, thank you. I'm outside. It's the sun. It's the sun beaming down on me. I go live every day, Axis. Where you be at? But I don't have a set time for y'all yet. I don't have a set time. I feel like every day I'm going live at this time. I don't got that yet. I just go live when the day allows me, but I at least go live once a day. Sometimes I bless you with twice a day. So I had the time before I get my daughter, so I went live and I talked about a lot of stuff. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the compliments. Thank you for the feedback, the engagement. Good, bad, neutral. I'll accept it all. And yeah, until tomorrow. I might go live later today, depends on Phil. My daughter's back in school, so we gotta get up like super early. And I'm also planning out some things for myself. So things that you can look forward to is that at some point in time, I've been saying this for a while, but I'm going to be starting my podcast. My podcast will be every Friday. So I'm hoping to be able to get that started. So at least I will have a set day and time that you can catch me. Other than that, I just go live once a day. If you catch me, good. If you don't, you don't. You just got to get in where you fit in. So with that being said, enjoy the day. I hope the weather's nice wherever you're at. I hope that you have some amazing food. I hope that you feel good. I hope you keep yourself hydrated, drink some water. And yeah,